And today my adventure begins as we say so long to Fort Fisher, North Carolina and New Hanover County, a home away from home, as we make our way across the Cape Fear River. And our destination today is Brunswick County, and we're going to make a stop to get off the ferry in the town of Southport. But that is going to be a quick stop because we're going to continue on with this adventure today as we drive to the little beach community known as Ocean Isle Beach. Well, good afternoon, my friends. Welcome back to the channel. Hitchhiking Yeti here. Thank you so much for joining me today. It's going to be a fun little adventure. I'm going to Ocean Isle Beach today because late 2025, late fall into early winter 2025, like in December, this beach community, especially on the east end, really dealt with almost catastrophic beach erosion. And there is a little community on the far east end, I think it's called The Point. And I find it fascinating because these are multi-million-dollar homes built in this little cul-de-sac. It's a little gated community, and the ocean has come and started washing away some of the concrete part of that cul-de-sac where these homes are. And it's really a scary moment for the homeowners. And these homes are new. I think they just built this little community in like 2022. So yeah, it's wild how things work like this. At the time they built these homes, the beach nourishment project had just happened. The beaches were very full of sand, a lot of beach room, but over the last few years with some nor'easters and storms and stuff like that has really hit that part of the island hard. So we're gonna go over there and check it out. I did see about a month or so ago they got okayed to put these really large sandbags, which is really expensive to do, in front of that little community of about 3 or 4 homes, I do believe. I've not been over there in several years, so we'll find out when we get there to kind of see what it all looks like. So that's what's on tap today. I really appreciate you hanging out with me. So if you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go ahead and get started. It is an absolutely fabulous day. This weather, I'm getting used to this. I mean, it is just so pretty and calm, not a lot of wind. Always makes these spring days a little bit more enjoyable when you don't have like a lot of wind and so on and so forth, not a lot of humidity. It's just nice and warm. It's about 80 degrees today, so absolutely beautiful day to get out of the house and have a little fun, do a little small road trip here locally. Really enjoying it. And boy, look at the people over here, the boats that are docked along the pier doing a spot of fishing. Oh, check out that little guy. There's a pelican just hanging out here. He must be just resting. Yeah, there's definitely some boats tied off and fishing really close to the docks, probably fishing for some sheephead. And check out those 2 little lonely palm trees right there on that dock growing. That's pretty cool. All right, so we're pulling into Southport now, and they just told us to go ahead and head back to our cars. But really quickly, I want to show you this. See that old brick lighthouse right there? That is called the Price Creek Lighthouse. And believe it or not, that old lighthouse is about 175 years old. It was built back in the mid 1800s, and it's still standing to this very day. All right. Made it to good old Southport. I have not been over here in quite some time as that kid's waving away. All these people are waiting in line to make their way over to Fort Fisher. Maybe they're all waiting to go get some Britt's Donuts because Britt's Donuts just recently opened not too long ago. A couple weeks ago. And there is quite the congregation of people here today in Southport. Look at the parking on street side here. There's a lot of folks here today taking advantage of the beautiful weather, doing a little bit of shopping. Love this little town. Very, very nice. And they got some really good places to eat too. And they have a year-round Christmas house, which is right over there. Candy canes on it. And as you can see, the Southport water tower right up here in front of us. If you've ever seen the movie I Know What You Did last summer, you can see that tower very prominently in quite a few scenes in the movie. All right, let's continue on toward Ocean Isle Beach. All right, I have made my way over here to almost Ocean Isle Beach. I'm close. My wife was with me today, and she was like, if I go with you, can we stop at Beach's Burgers and get a scrumptiously delicious burger? And I said, heck yeah. You don't have to ask me twice. I am all in for some Beach's Burgers. So I had just placed my order, so we're going to stop by here just for a moment. And once my food comes out, I will definitely show you what the burger looks like. And then it's not going to be a burger review or anything, but I will definitely show you what the burger looks like, because Beach's Burgers are pretty famous in these parts. It is a very popular location that closes very early in the day, because like today, I'm here on a Saturday, they close at 2:30, and I'm here about 40 minutes before they close, so I got here just in the nick of time. Okay, so this is what we're dealing with here at Beach's Burgers. This here is my double cheeseburger with slaw, chili, some mustard. Very good burger. Always enjoy eating this burger. But something that's very interesting about this place is their t-shirts. They're a little pervy. This here is a look at some of their t-shirts here, just outside the order window. So very interesting. But right now, I'm actually driving down into a little area because I want to take you to a tree that they call the George Washington tree. And it's down here on the Intercoastal Waterway area. And it's quite the story to it. That is for sure. Okay, and so this here, this old live oak right here, is the George Washington tree. They even have a little placard right over here. Now, I have covered this tree in the past and its history. President George Washington, during his tour of the southern states on April 27th, 1791, was a breakfast guest in the home of William Goss Jr., a Revolutionary War veteran. The Goss's manor was at this location. Now, the story or legend that is, it's out there, okay? But there's actually stories about George Washington actually planting this tree, believe it or not, which a lot of people says that is a real far legend. But there's even one that's even more comical, I think, and the one I like to go with when it comes to old stories from the South. And that is that George Washington once urinated on this tree. I think that is a far much better story than him possibly planting the tree. It is an absolutely beautiful tree, and it's kind of hidden on this road right here. It's called Goss Landing, and you can see right there is the Intercoastal Waterway, and right beyond that waterway on the other side of it is where we're actually headed to here momentarily. That is Ocean Isle Beach. So really beautiful area back here. A lot of live oaks, a lot of mossy live oaks, very pretty. And it feels amazing out here today, actually. So all that being said, let's go ahead and head on over to Ocean Isle Beach. But I did want to just stop here momentarily for people who are new to the channel within the last year that didn't see my videos probably 2 years ago when I stopped by here and showed this tree off. Anytime I come to Ocean Isle Beach, I always try to show the George Washington tree. And right here it is. Okay, now I'm making my way across the Intercoastal Waterway here on the bridge that takes us over to Ocean Isle Beach. Look at that view. That is very nice. So very pretty. Okay, so we have made it over here onto the island, and I'm actually driving east right now because on the far eastern part of the island is where all the beach erosion is, or the worst of it. And I just like driving down through here sometimes and just marveling at how beautiful the beach houses are. Very nice. And very big. There is a lot of big beach homes here in Ocean Isle Beach. And if any of you guys are old Dale Earnhardt fans, he used to have a gas man years and years ago, back in the 80s. Well, really all the way up until he perished at Daytona in 2001. And his gas man name was Danny Chocolate Myers. And Danny Chocolate Myers, he actually retired to the East Coast, and he lives here in Ocean Isle Beach. But he lives on the west end in a gated community down that way, I do believe. Okay, I've made my way out here onto the beach. Almost completely on the east end, but not quite, because if I forgot to tell you earlier, this community of this little group of homes of like maybe 4 homes maybe that's like in trouble, it's on the far east end, and it is a gated community, I do believe. You cannot drive back there, and so you just have to walk down the beach, because beach is public property. You can go all the way to the end of the island, and you can walk right in front of the homes where all the erosion and stuff is taking place. So that's kind of what we're doing right now. I might have to walk a little bit further doing it like this, but it's all good, because it's not too much further to the seawall, which is just right there in front of me, off into the distance. And when we get to the seawall, I want to show you something. And it's a little surprising that these people decided to build a home on the eastern side of this seawall. Okay, so now I have made my way down here to the rock jetty, or rock wall, if you will. And I want you to see something about this rock wall. Notice on the right hand side, which is the west side of the wall, look at all the sand. See how far the sand goes out? And then as I pan to the left, look what happens on this side of the wall. Look at this. This is all water. And this is how rock walls or jetties work when you put them in place. They steal sand from one side, and which is not bad, because right here is an inlet between Holden Beach is off right there on the horizon. That's Holden Beach homes over there. So that's a water inlet right there. So you don't want sand in it. But, you know, it packs in all the sand on this side, which is very similar of what happened back in the late 90s when they was trying to save the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse up on the Outer Banks, because the ocean erosion was so bad, the sand was eroding away, and they're like, oh my God, this historic lighthouse is right here on the water's edge. Within the next 10 or 15 years, this thing is going to be taken over by the ocean. We can't stop it. So they built a seawall like this, which is a jetty, to steal sand from one side and pack it in on the other. And that was to pack sand in front of the lighthouse to protect it and really preserved it. And then they finally just said, heck with it, we're going to move it back inland, you know, I don't know, a quarter mile, or how far they moved it back. So that's how they finally ended up doing it. They said, the heck with the seawall thing, it's just too sketchy. But that's what happened here. They built the seawall so it packs sand in on this side of the beach, and it took it from this side of the beach. It stole from this side. And the bad part about that is look at the homes you have over here on this side of the seawall. Look at these beautiful homes right here. These homes right here in this area, that is where we're going to walk to, because I'm going to get as close as I can. I don't know what regulations they got in place. I do see the sand bags that they got packed over there in front of those. So I'm going to walk over there as far as I can to see what we can see. But that is the multi-million-dollar homes that are really was in a lot of trouble, at least last fall into late 2025. And now they're trying to put together a plan to help these homes out. So that is the gist of this whole situation. I hope I tried to explain it the best I could. But now let's go ahead and walk over there and see if we can take a little bit closer look. Man, but before we walk over there, just look at the ocean. Look at the water here. Is this not beautiful? This is so pretty. so peaceful. The water is so clear. You could just wade out there and probably see all kinds of fish. That's what I'm thinking. I can see stuff out there right now swimming around. I don't know if you guys can. I have on some sunglasses, so I'm not seeing the glare that you guys might be seeing, but yeah, there's definitely some fish out there squirming around in the shallows. I gotta say, with the low tide down here, don't that look cool? How the sand looks, like all the water puddles out through there. That is so awesome. Sometimes it's the little things that captures my mind or my eye just for a second, and I just have to stop and kind of take it in. Okay, so right here is some more homes. It's a part of this gated community that I'm in down here, this private area. And I just want to kind of pan over here and I want you to see this line. This right here is the water line when it's high tide. Now right now it's low tide. As you can see, there's people that, you know, they're probably 100 yards off where I'm at right now, if not further, on like a little sandy island in different areas. So the water is very, very shallow at the moment. But this is a very, you know, it's not very windy. It's a very calm day. But you know, the ocean changes so much. And you can see right here some of the sandbags they've already put in place to protect this cul-de-sac and the road that these people have to drive on to get in and out of their homes. And just look at the damage it was done. Right there's the road. Look how much caved in right down through there. And I think it's even worse. As you see this truck right here where there's a worker over there, you see like a pile of concrete crumbled up in front of them. That was some of the stuff that I seen online back late last year, where it was, all this was like crumbling, like falling, and it must have been like really bad over there on the other side, which I'm not going to be able to get to. I do not want to cross this barrier, but my goodness, these big sandbags are what they are counting on to help them out. And give them a little bit of time, as long as they, you know, until they can come up with a plan or maybe do a beach nourishment project right here in front of these homes. I think is what I read they were going to do, which is going to be, like, once again, very expensive. They'll probably have to get some grants, you know, or something like that from the state maybe, or I don't know, maybe a federal grant. I don't know how all that works, but that is what's going to be happening, I think, to rectify this problem, because it is a bad one. And one thing I can tell you for sure that many of you probably already know is you're not going to beat Mother Nature without throwing a lot of money at it, because that ocean right there, it does what it wants to do and when it wants to do it. And all it has to do is get angry. And yeah, it will come charging and go up and over these sandbags, you know. So they're going to have to do something and really fill this in with sand good, and maybe make some kind of a barrier, you know. Like, you have sand dunes on most of the beaches, and I think you're going to probably have to have something like that down here to deter the ocean at least every 3 years, or do something along those lines. I think that's what's going to probably have to happen. But I'm not, that's just my opinion. I'm not a engineer. People much smarter than I am will be coming up with this solution, but it's pretty interesting nonetheless. And I wanted to kind of document it and kind of show you guys what's going on down here at Ocean Isle Beach. I was just so fascinated by this whole story, and I hate that I couldn't have got down here a little bit sooner before they put these sandbags here, where you could really see what kind of destruction was going on. All right, so I was able to get a little bit closer, and right there you can see all that crumbled up blacktop where all the damage was done by the water back several months ago. And you have 3 multi-million-dollar homes just sitting right here in front of all this stuff, counting their blessings and praying a lot, I'm sure, at that very moment. They had to be pretty thankful that the water stopped and they got the attention of the town or whatever, and they started acting, putting a plan together to hopefully save these structures. All right, my friends, I think that is going to pretty much wrap it up for me here today from Ocean Isle Beach here on the east end. Pretty interesting little situation we got going on here, and can't wait to see what happens in the future. But at least for the short term, they do have some really big sandbags there to deter some of the water and some of the currents and erosion and stuff that's going on down here in front of these big homes. But all that being said, I think I'm all done today. I want to appreciate everybody for watching once again. And by the way, Beach's Burgers was fantastic. It was delicious. It was so very good. If you ever come down here to this area in Brunswick County, definitely give Beach's Burgers a try. And they're famous for hot dogs too, but I'm a hamburger guy, so I went with a hamburger today. I got me a good old double cheeseburger, and it was very, very tasty, and I enjoyed it very much, as always. All right, until next time, friends, I'm the Hitchhiking Yeti, and I will see you in my next adventure. Y'all stay safe, and I hope to see you all again soon. And so long from beautiful Ocean Isle Beach, North Carolina. Just look at that. Is that not awesome? That is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Gorgeous, gorgeous day. All right. I will see you guys and gals on the flip-flop.